The distant colony of New Haven burned. Smoke curled into the sky as alien ships hovered above, their weapons glowing with deadly energy. The Velnar Empire had struck without warning. Their soldiers moved through the streets, cutting down anyone who resisted. The humans here were farmers, engineers, and families, not warriors. They stood no chance. Among the chaos, Captain Jake Holt ran. His uniform was torn, his face smeared with dirt and blood. Behind him, the last of his squad followed. Corporal Ryan Shaw, gripping a rifle with shaking hands, and Lieutenant Mia Carter, her cold eyes scanning for threats. They had been stationed here to keep the peace, not fight a war. Now, they were all that remained. A Velnar patrol rounded the corner, their armored bodies gleaming under the firelight. Holt raised a fist, signaling his team to stop. They crouched behind a ruined wall, holding their breath. The aliens spoke in guttural clicks, their weapons humming with power. One of them kicked over a broken crate, checking for survivors. Shaw tightened his grip on his rifle, but Carter placed a hand on his arm. "Not yet," she whispered. The patrol moved on. Holt exhaled. "We need to get off this planet," he muttered. They sprinted toward the colony's landing pads, where a single dropship remained. The engines were still warm. Someone had tried to escape, but hadn't made it. Bodies littered the ground. Holt ignored them, focusing on the controls. The ship groaned to life as the trio climbed aboard. As they lifted off, a Velnar commander's voice crackled over the comms. "Humans, hear this. Your worlds are weak. Your people are nothing. Surrender or be erased." The transmission cut. Holt's jaw clenched. Shaw slammed a fist against the wall. "They think we're just going to roll over?" he muttered. Carter stared out the viewport as New Haven shrank below them. "They don't know what's coming," she whispered. Somewhere in the galaxy, the Velnar High Command celebrated their victory. They believed humanity was broken. They were wrong. And soon they would learn just how wrong they were.
The dropship landed on Earth in the middle of the night. Jake Holt stepped out first, his boots hitting the wet tarmac. Military police surrounded them, weapons ready. A man in a black uniform stepped forward. "Captain Holt," he said, "you're coming with us." No explanations, no questions. Holt, Carter, and Shaw were loaded into an armored vehicle and driven through empty streets. The city was quiet, but Holt could feel the tension in the air. The attack on New Haven had changed everything. They arrived at a secure bunker deep underground. The doors opened to a room filled with maps, screens, and grim-faced officers. At the center stood General Laura Vance, her hands clasped behind her back. She didn't waste time. "The Velnar hit 3 more colonies while you were in transit. They're not stopping, and they think we can't fight back." Shaw snorted. "They're in for a surprise." Vance ignored him, her eyes locked on Holt. "We're activating the Iron Reapers. You've heard the rumors. Now you're going to see them in action." Holt had heard the stories. Elite soldiers, enhanced beyond normal human limits, trained to win wars no one else could. Some called them heroes. Others called them monsters. The door opened again. 3 figures walked in. The first was a mountain of a man, his arms covered in scars. The second was a woman with sharp eyes and a calm expression. The third was younger, his fingers tapping restlessly against his leg. Vance gestured to them. "Meet Sergeant Kyle Briggs, Lieutenant Elena Ruiz, and Corporal Danny Cole. They're Reapers, and you're joining them." Carter crossed her arms. "Just like that." "Just like that," Vance said. "The Velnar think they're hunting us. It's time to show them they're wrong." Holt looked at the Reapers. They didn't speak. They didn't need to. The war had just begun.
The dropship shuddered as it entered the atmosphere of Corvin 7. Inside, Jake Holt checked his rifle for the 3rd time. Across from him, Kyle Briggs sat perfectly still, his enhanced muscles tense under his armor. Elena Ruiz cleaned her knife with slow, careful strokes. Danny Cole hummed quietly, adjusting the explosive strapped to his vest. Mia Carter leaned forward. "Remember," she said, "this isn't a fair fight. Make sure they know that." The ship landed with a thud. The ramp lowered, revealing a wasteland of smoke and ruins. The Velnar had turned this mining colony into a fortress. They moved fast. Briggs took point, his heavy footsteps silent against the cracked ground. The first Velnar patrol never saw them coming. Ruiz slipped behind one alien, her knife finding the weak spot in its armor. Cole's explosives took out the other three before they could raise their weapons. Holt watched as the Reapers worked. They weren't just soldiers, they were artists of death. Every move was perfect, every shot counted. They reached the main compound. The Velnar had set up heavy defenses, energy turrets, armored guards, motion sensors. None of it mattered. Briggs charged straight through the front gate, shrugging off plasma fire like it was rain. Ruiz scaled the walls and disabled the turrets before the aliens realized she was there. Cole planted charges on the fuel tanks, then gave Holt a grin. Fireworks time. The explosion lit up the night. Velnar soldiers ran in panic as their base collapsed around them. One officer, his armor cracked and smoking, crawled toward his weapon. Carter stepped on his hand. "Why?" the alien gasped. She crouched down. "Because you started this." Then she pulled the trigger. As they walked back to the dropship, Holt looked at the burning ruins behind them. The message was clear. Humanity wasn't running anymore. The victory on Corvon 7 had been too easy. Holt felt it in his gut as their dropship approached the next target, a Velnar supply depot on the frozen moon of Tarkus. The intelligence reports showed minimal defenses. A quick strike, another message sent. Briggs disagreed. "Smells wrong," he grunted, staring at the tactical display. Ruiz checked her scanner. No energy readings, no movement. Either it's abandoned, or they want us to think that, Cole finished. They landed anyway. The depot was a cluster of domes under a sheet of ice. No guards, no lights, just perfect silence. Holt's breath fogged in the freezing air as they moved toward the largest structure. Then the ground exploded. Dozens of Velnar soldiers erupted from hidden tunnels, their weapons blazing. Holt dove behind a crate as plasma bolts scorched the air. Briggs roared and charged, his augmented fists crushing alien skulls. Ruiz vanished into the chaos, her knives flashing. Cole cursed as his explosives failed to detonate. Jammed. They knew we were coming. A heavy impact sent Holt sprawling. A Velnar commander loomed over him, its armored fist raised for the killing blow. Then Carter was there, her rifle barking, 3 quick shots into the alien's face. "Fall back!" she shouted. Too late. More Velnar poured in. Briggs weighed down under a pile of enemies. Cole took a plasma bolt to the leg. Then the stun nets hit, electrified mesh that wrapped around Ruiz and Carter, sending them crashing to the ice. Holt reached for his sidearm. A sharp pain exploded in his head. Darkness. He woke in his cell, his head pounding. Through the energy bars, he saw Briggs unconscious in another cell. Ruiz and Carter were gone. Across the hallway, Cole grinned weakly, blood trickling from his nose. "Well," he coughed, "this sucks." Somewhere above them, the Velnar cheered their victory. They didn't know. The Reapers were at their most dangerous when cornered.
The cell door hissed open. Holt blinked against the bright light as 2 Velnar guards dragged him down the corridor. His ribs ached from the beating they'd given him earlier. The alien's claws dug into his arms as they shoved him into a large chamber. The Velnar commander stood waiting, its 4 eyes gleaming. "Your friends are dead," it said in broken English. "You will tell us about Earth's defenses." Holt spat blood on the floor. "Go to hell." The commander nodded. One guard pressed a glowing rod against Holt's back. Pain exploded through his body. He clenched his teeth, refusing to scream. Then the lights flickered. An alarm blared. The commander turned just as the door exploded inward. Mia Carter stood in the smoke, her stolen Velnar rifle smoking. Behind her, Danny Cole limped into view, his hands covered in grease and blood. "Miss us?" he grinned. Chaos erupted. Carter's shots took down the guards before they could react. Cole tossed Holt a pistol. "Found your stuff," he said. "Briggs is tearing through the west wing. Ruiz is, well, you'll see." They moved fast. The prison complex was in pandemonium, alarms wailing as fires spread. Dead Velnar littered the holes. Some shot, some stabbed, some torn apart bare-handed. They found Briggs in the armory, his massive frame covered in alien blood. He tossed Holt an assault rifle. "Took you long enough," he growled. Ruiz joined them a minute later, her knives dripping green blood. She didn't speak. She didn't need to. The commander's voice crackled over the PA system. "You cannot escape. Surrender now." Cole laughed as he wired explosives to the main support columns. "Yeah, that's not happening." The detonation rocked the complex as they sprinted to the hangar. A Velnar ship sat fueled and ready. Carter took the controls as the others piled in. As they lifted off, the entire prison complex collapsed behind them in a fireball. Holt watched it burn. "They'll come after us harder now." Briggs cracked his knuckles. "Good." The stolen Velnar ship hurtled through space, its engines whining in protest. Carter wrestled with the controls while Cole frantically rewired the navigation system. "We've got company," Ruiz said calmly, watching the scanner. 3 Velnar destroyers had locked onto them. Holt strapped into a weapons chair. "Can we fight?" Briggs already had his hands on the ship's plasma cannons. "We're about to find out." The first destroyer fired. Their ship rocked violently as the blast skimmed their hull. Carter swore and threw them into a steep dive. Alarms blared as the artificial gravity flickered. Cole whooped as his rewiring took effect. "Got it! I just turned their life support into a bomb." He slammed a button. One of the pursuing destroyers suddenly went dark, its engines sputtering. The other 2 ships hesitated, just for a second. That was all Briggs needed. He fired. Twin plasma streams tore through the lead destroyer's bridge. The ship veered wildly, colliding with its partner in a spectacular explosion. Silence fell on their battered ship. Then Cole started laughing. "They really thought they could catch us?" Ruiz checked their course. "Earth sending reinforcements. Will meet them at the rally point in 6 hours." Holt leaned back in his chair. His whole body hurt. But they'd made it. Then the comm crackled to life. General Vance's voice came through, tight with urgency. "Reapers, listen carefully. The Velnar fleet is moving on Earth. All forces are being recalled. This is it." No one spoke. The weight of the moment settled over them. Carter turned the ship toward home, toward the final battle. Briggs checked his weapons one by one. Ruiz sharpened her knives. Cole hummed as he prepped explosives. Holt looked at them, these warriors who had become his family. "Let's finish this." Outside the view screen, the stars blurred as they jumped to warp. The storm was coming, and they would be its heart. Earth's defense fleet looked small against the approaching Velnar armada. Hundreds of alien warships filled the view screens, their weapons glowing as they prepared to attack. Holt tightened his grip on the rifle. "This is it." Briggs grunted, loading his heavy cannon. "Good." The battle began with fire and noise. Human and Velnar ships clashed in the darkness of space. Explosions lit up the black like tiny suns. Their stolen Velnar ship weaved through the chaos, Carter's hand steady on the controls. "Drop point in 30 seconds, she called. Ruiz stood ready by the hatch, her knives gleaming.
Cole checked his last explosives. Going out with a bang, he grinned. The ship shuddered as it docked with the Velnar flagship. The hatch exploded open. What happened next wasn't a battle, it was a storm. Briggs moved like a machine, his fists crushing anything in his path. Ruiz became a shadow, her knives finding every weak spot in the Velnar armor. Cole's explosives opened paths through the ship's corridors. Holt and Carter fought back to back, their guns never silent. The aliens kept coming, and the Reapers kept killing. They reached the bridge. The Velnar commander turned, its 4 eyes wide with something new. Fear. "You can't win," it hissed. Cole laughed as he planted his last charge on the ship's core. "Watch us." The explosion tore through the flagship. Alarms wailed as the Reapers ran for their escape pods. Holt turned for one last look. The Velnar fleet was breaking apart, their ships drifting without command. Earth's forces pressed the advantage. In the pod, Briggs wiped blood from his face. Ruiz counted her remaining knives. Cole hummed a victory tune. Carter watched Earth grow larger in the viewscreen. We did it. Holt leaned back, exhaustion finally hitting him. But he smiled. Somewhere out there the galaxy would remember this day. They would remember the Reapers.